Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we're doing reflection 300.
Wild.
Yeah,
Oh, there
you
we go.
lost me for
No,
like a
yeah,
quick second. Like I
yeah.
said, my computer is acting up today for some reason. My USB keep turning on and off. So I'm not
Weird.
sure if I can make through this podcast. But yeah, 300, one of the big milestone, and it's something that I don't even think about ever to even get to 300, but here we are. So today's book, we're talking about The Obstacle is the Way, The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumphs by Ryan Holiday. Part one of two, reflection
Yeah,
one.
yeah. This is part one and two. No, this is a big day. I mean, like it's 300 episodes, I mean, I know we don't really care, but at the same time, it's because,
Yeah,
we're so
we're amazed by it.
yeah,
It's just we don't even think about it ever until we get to the point of, well, we
right.
did 300, right? And
Well,
that's really
cheers.
something. Yeah.
No, seriously, cheers.
All right.
It's like climbing up a mountain and you're like, we've been hacking away at this thing for years and years and years, and then we look back down, we're like, oh shit, we're pretty far up this mountain. Like I have no idea where the top of the mountain is, but like we're pretty far up the mountain, at worst case scenario. I mean, it's something. Bird by bird, right? Yeah. I mean, I just finished I'm on 399. So, we're almost 100 ahead of you. So you're going to catch me eventually,
Yeah,
when we're
eventually.
doing
I
this.
mean, that's the beauty of time is that
Right.
we don't realize that time erode, anything, regardless of what it is. It doesn't matter if as long as we can continue, and if we are doing one episode every day for 4 days a week, and you do less than four every week,
Right.
eventually you're gonna get over
Yeah.
surpassed.
It's crazy to think because my reading or my consumption of books hasn't slowed down. My overall consumption of the amount of time that I learn has actually increased. I've decided now, because the journey is technically over, that I keep picking these really long ass books now because I'm just like, well, I don't really care. It sounds interesting. So I'm just going to keep going down this road. I'm only churning through a book every 5 days instead of a book every 2 days, like when I was doing this journey, or like 3 days. It's probably every 3 days, I would say, is the average, because I would do probably like 10 a month or something like that. So it was, my point being is like I'm only probably finishing like 6 books a month, but I'm actually, in terms of quantity of pages and or like hours and Audible or something like that, like it's actually the same amount. It's just that the book is less, and then therefore, my reflections are like I don't have as many, because it's one book, right? Unless it's like a great book and I get multiple reflections out of it. But yeah, so to your point, I don't get a chance to write every single day anymore. It's usually like once or twice a week now. So you're definitely catching up fast, and we'll be there soon.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the point is, it's on its journey. We'll find something else.
yeah. Well, then I'll just have to talk to you about what I'm actually listening to or learning or reading every single day. Because right now I'm finishing a Bill Bryson book called One Summer. It's about this wild summer of 1927 with like Charles Lindbergh flying across the country and his whole
Mhm.
barnstorming tour. Some prisoners that got executed in upstate New York. They were like a famous prison case. The Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio and the home run chase of 1927 and their whole backstory and that stuff. Like it's an interesting book, but like today, like we'll have to be talking about stuff in real time as I'm like, light bulbs are popping out of my head. For instance, it probably won't be really interesting because it's like today he was talking about in this book, this One Summer book, he was talking about the history of Hollywood up until 1927. And this is when the first talkies came out, like the talking pictures came out, was around this time. And this movie called The Jazz Singer, it was like a talking picture. It was not the first one, but it was one of the earliest ones, but it was like the one that like really was the tipping point where everybody like wanted to go see it and everything. And Bill Bryson said something this morning when I was out on a jog and I was listening to this, and he goes, what Hollywood unexpectedly did when they transitioned into talking pictures was, for the first time ever, people around the world that were watching the content that was being produced out of Hollywood was hearing American voices and American language and jargon and what we did and talked about and said, and they liked it. And our culture spread. Like he was like, this may have been one of the biggest reasons why, like, American culture is so dominant today in the world, is because people started to consume this from all over the world. That got me thinking about culture and language and spoken word and spreading the message of who you are and what you guys are about through language. It's one thing to see a vineyard in Napa Valley and a vineyard in France or something like that on a non-talking picture, right? Silent movies, right? Like, I'm sure it's cool. Like, I'm sure the backgrounds and I'm sure the There's subtle probably differences between like our geography and their geography, and like what their vineyard looked like and what our vineyard looked like, and whatever else, right? But you don't get a sense of the people. Culture comes from the people and the language and what they talk about and what they say and what they do and how they act, right? Like it's that helped, like
I
silent
mean,
picture.
majority of our interactions, connection with people is visual. Technology is what breaks the ceiling of 150. And so when
Right.
you look at the running pictures, which is essentially because we say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you have running pictures, so you got
Right.
1,000 a picture. So essentially, you are appealing to the biggest and strongest of your senses, which is visual.
Right. Right.
And visual, takes in so much, and it allows you to break that ceiling. So it goes from 150 to millions, right? Because
Mhm.
that's why the moving picture creates that landslide of, oh, these people are doing this way. Okay, I get used to it. Okay, I understand it now. As you continue to watch and they continue to absorb, sometimes unconsciously, you absorb some of the behavior that people do, and then you start to slowly connect with that. And
Mhm.
essentially you say, well, okay, I can understand that. I can see myself doing that. So it starts to absorb into you. And this is why it's so fascinating for us to tell stories around the campfire. But if you look back at the ability and the method we do in terms of storytelling, it's just, hey, somebody sitting around a campfire, maybe around 10, 20 people at a time. And then you do maybe, 20 of those 20, right? So
Right.
you're probably maximum of 200 before things starts to get disconnected. But if you have like one central broadcasting stations, and everybody can be tuning and receiving it. So essentially you say, hey, my campfire can be infinite now. It doesn't have to be
Right.
only 20. Because if you
Yep.
think about, in the campfire, you're sitting in you're the one of the 50, you sit far in the back, you can't hear anything, right? And you can't see anything. You can't absorb anything. That's why technology for us, it was give us a leverage to expound the reach of our community. To me, community is everything.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
saying is,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't care who you are. You can be $1 trillion, but you live by yourself in the planet. What the hell is that $1 trillion worth to you? Worth nothing, right?
Gotcha.
There's no community. We need a community. So community for us, whether that's eons ago or today or in the future, community
Right.
is still the only thing why we do anything. Because
Yep.
we evolved from the tribe. Like we're talking about hunting woolly mammoths, right? They're 10 times each size, a person size, but we're able to hunt them and survive. Because for one, if you are not strong enough, you can get killed by them, or you won't kill them and hunt them, you won't be able to eat and you starve to death. So
Right.
eventually you're going to become extinct. But we did not become extinct because of the ability for us to combine together into this group that becomes more than what we are. And that is the foundations of the gene that get passes on. And so as a human today, we need to belong to a tribe. And to me, that tribe is whether it's small, whether it's weird, whatever, you are going to have.
It's a necessity.
You find satisfaction, you
Yeah.
find joy in existence.
I mean, life's not worth living if it's not worth sharing, I guess, and I mean, that's one of the things that we're doing every day here. The
And all we're doing is we're going back to our roots. This is who we
Right.
are as a person, and we are getting rid of the facade, the fakeness that enshroud us from who we really are. Because a lot of time we denied that we are this, we are that, because for
Mhm.
whatever reason we are conditioned or being brainwashed into thinking of something else. We say, hey,
Right.
today we should become like, hey, we should become like mosquitoes. And for whatever reason, someone is able to hypnotize you, whether that's consciously or subconsciously, into believing you should behave like a mosquito. Go and just suck blood from other people, whatever it is, right? Whatever agenda can be put. And people, like, for us, you think that, hey, human beings, we have our own individuality and we have the free will to think for ourselves. But in the
Right.
sad reality today, we don't do that. Because a lot of times, if I ask you, do you believe in something, right? And you say, yeah, I believe in this. You really believe, but you can't really defend your position.
Right.
If you can't defend your position, it's not because you didn't believe it. It's just because you took that belief from someone, right? You do believe it, but you just don't understand why you believe it.
Agree.
You just don't. Hey, for example, like maybe they say, blood is thicker than water, right? So the thing is, people say, well, that makes sense because my brother and my sister is more close to me. I'm more close to them. Blah blah blah, right? But that is actually the reverse. It's not. You say they. So the thing is, people can push in an agenda, and we believe without even understanding why it is. Because like I say, the real saying is blood is thicker than water. Isn't because your family is more tight knit than the people you hang out with. So the saying is say blood is thicker than water. The covenant is you and anyone share the bond of the brotherhood of doing things together. They call that the blood brother. Like
Just
how
shared actions. I mean, like
you
it's
know
doing
how
stuff together.
in the old days when they bite their thumbs and they push them together, that's called blood brother. It's a covenant.
Yeah.
I make a
Right.
contract with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you and I go to war, right? You are my blood brother. So I depend my life on you, and you depend my life. That's called blood brother. It's thicker than water. The water is the water of the womb, right? So the original saying, that's the meaning. Not just saying it that hey, blood meaning hey, your relative, your kinship. It's not that.
Right.
That's not the origin of that saying.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And so we are being taught until some when we understand hey, that wasn't the case. But I'm saying I did believe that hey, when I'm born into a family, let's say my brother is a jerk to me, right? He's an idiot and he's mean to me, blah blah blah, right? So is he means more to me than my best friend who is with me in the thick and thins? You think about you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm
I
saying
mean,
is
well,
I believe that.
from a lineage and passing on your DNA, maybe, but no. I mean,
But you still don't, like I said, let's say you go and you say, well, yeah, I have blood relatives and I have people I live with. You don't live with your blood relatives, right? You marry another person and you start a
right.
family with them. So, like, well, you're not
Well, your
related
kids are.
to your wife. You're not
Right.
related to your wife, right?
Right.
Why do you leave your family, your blood kinship, and
Right.
you go and you start with somebody and you put your life for them out there?
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it's not like, hey, I'm marrying you're marrying your sister or anything like that. So that's the
Right.
thing, it doesn't make sense. But that's
Right.
the thing is the example I'm saying is the saying it equates to relatives having blood relations. It's stronger than covenant we make with other people, a promise we make of other people that we share the bond, like you and me, we have commonalities in terms of the journey we go together.
Mhm.
The bond for me and you is stronger than some people that I know. My cousin, sometimes even my brother.
For
My
for
brother is
sure. Yeah. I mean,
not a jerk, but it's like,
yeah.
well, he has his thing, he does his thing. I can't force him to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
What I'm saying
Right.
is that the saying is
Yeah, there's nothing fucking worse when you well there is. I mean, there's a lot of other things worse. I'm being hyperbolic, but like like when you listen to somebody and you try to find that connection with them, like we talked about the other day of like everything for everybody or something for everybody, and you're like
Mhm.
and you make this attempt to try to find this uncommon commonality that they may care about or they may not care about, but they totally just like, oh yeah, no, that sounds great, and then they just don't do it at all. Talk about what really is telling is your actions are always really the truth. Culture, going back to the movies and stuff like that, culture isn't just some visual of what America looks like. It's what you do. It's what you say. It's what you do. It's the actions. It's seen.
It's a common belief. Like
It's
you and
it's
I
what it's
believe
what we
in, we believe in the community. That's created culture, right?
right.
And that's what I'm saying is, my immediate family, we don't have the issues of jealousy or anything like that. You see like movies where you have like two brothers and they're the son of the kings and they kill each other, blah blah blah, and all that, right? That isn't just in a movie. It happens a lot in daily life, and I've seen it in my own time where brothers and sisters are killing each other for whatever.
Right.
And the thing is, if you take that saying and you apply to that, it doesn't make sense because the stranger are nicer to you than your brother, and brother is trying to stab you in the back,
Right.
right? And to me, that doesn't make sense in that saying. But because that was saying so over and over in my head, and people were saying that so many times, I believe in that without even understanding what it is.
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah. No, I
Right?
mean, it happens every day. I mean, I think that happens a million times a day with stuff that we just accept and don't challenge, right? Well, actually, it's all right. Let's get to the reflection. I think in a random, weird way, we just maybe unlocked the future of YOML. We can literally just talk off the cuff about a book and not have to necessarily have. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to write out my thoughts, and if I have a curated thought, we will. But I feel like this could go in perpetuity because I'm always going to be learning, and you're always going to be learning, so we can always have an idea.
Well, topic, and I say what I
Right.
think, and you say what you think, and you
Yeah.
learn from each other. And
Right.
to me, that's how we uncover the nuance of the deeper understanding, the next layer of the informations and insights.
Agreed, and that's actually, even in a weird way, it's a little bit more intriguing because, like, I'm coming in these episodes of the first 300 that we've done, and you know, up until whenever we catch up to where I'm writing with, I'm coming with a curated thought that I'm sharing with you. What I just shared with you was not a curated thought. It was something that I wrote a note down in my journal that was sparked by it, and I'm still working through the ideas in my head. You know what I mean? Like, so to like in real time work it out with you, like, might be more entertaining actually for both of us.
To understand that you and I have talked for more than 300 episodes, so you think about the uncurated thought. Let's do that in the beginning.
We have uncurated thoughts.
No. I'm just saying it would not work in the beginning because you and I have not been trained.
Right, exactly.
To run off the cuff, you know. You're talking about. You remember that book about, like, you know, no scripts or whatever? You remember that book? He throws away the scripts.
Scripts. What context?
You know, it's like in some episode we're talking about the guy. He following the scripts, and you know, it wasn't working out, and he just, you know, no scripts.
I don't remember that one. What I'm trying to think of what it was.
Yeah, there were one a while back episode regarding, you know, completely off the cuff. Just do it live.
I mean, I remember us talking about, you know, obviously we talked about that before, but like I don't remember, like, actually it's not sparking it's not taking me back in my memory palace at all to
or maybe I didn't give you the right trigger, but it'll come to you. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of self-training we've done to get to 300. And this is the reason why we get to the point where you and I can throw in a topic and we can talk for an hour without stopping, because we have so many. I'm saying is, you and I, like, say, like, let's say you just throw a bunch of books to Chat GPT, right? It can generate wonderful stuff. And I'm telling that you are like 1,000 times better than Chat GPT. Me, that is like 1,000 times more than Chat GPT. So all you have to do is just feed them information, and eventually, when you have enough information, patterns start to emerge. And whenever you do that and you throw a topic at the discussions, things start to flow because we can start connecting, because you have more data points to connect now. But in the beginning, let's say we have the first episode, we can't even keep our faces straight.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right, let's get back to the regularly scheduled program, because I do like the discovery that we just made, but because I do think that's actually going to be really helpful for the future, because we're going to catch up eventually, you know, and hitting 300, I think, is what triggered that thought, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be there before we know it.
I mean, that's 300, man. Like, I mean, it really is what we are gaining speed. I actually never thought that we would, because we didn't start doing these until, I want to say, it was probably already like 120 in or something like that, you know, like when, like maybe even 150 in when we started. No, it had been before that. I feel like I can't remember when we officially started these podcasts and stuff like that, but I feel like we had a huge lead on everything, right?
I mean, like, you were like 300 and we were like 100. No, maybe
it wasn't 3. I feel like it was probably like 120 or something like that when we first started, like, you know, because that would have been like 3 months or so.
Remember, like, when we are doing in the middle of the multiple podcasts, we are like 8 months, 9 months out.
Right. When was the first one that we posted?
It's a year ago.
I know, it's a long time ago. Does it say the date when you posted? Or just a year ago? It's been definitely more than a year. I don't know when this was. It doesn't matter. I feel like the point is, I actually thought the lead that I had on this, like on our podcast recording of these things, was like so far into the future that, like, I don't know, it just kind of hit me when we just hit this 300 just now. I'm like, oh shit, we're at 300, and I'm not into the 400s yet, you know. Like, I'm almost there. I'm at 399, but you know, we're gaining speed fast. So anyway, I'm excited about the future development of that. So that was interesting.
I mean, the future is always going to get better, and so you know, that's the beauty of aligning with your core value, because you know, you're doing these things and you enjoying it, and you don't feel like it's been a year already.
Right. Oh, it's been more than a year. I started writing the first YOML that I started writing was August of 2021. So
the first one we posted was January 6, 2022.
August, September, October, November, December. So 5 months. So I probably had 150 or 120.
No. January 6th, 2000, a year and 9 months.
Yeah, the first one that I ever wrote was in the monthly challenge in July of 2021. So July, August, September, October, November, December. So 6 months. I had a 6 month writing to start, with
Right.
writing every single day. So, I mean,
you started 2.5 years ago, right? And we start the podcast on the beginning of 2022.
Right.
And this is September of 2023. That's for the podcast by itself, to get to 300. We have doing this for a year and 9 months.
Correct. Right. That is wild. For me to get to 400, I've been doing, dude, this is 508 pages. Like, that is 339,224 words.
The thing is, the question, a lot of people would ask you, hey, are you exhausted yet?
No, I mean,
you're doing this for a year and 9 months.
True. An average nonfiction book is like 50 to 75,000 words. If you're going to publish anything more than 75,000 words, you better already have a huge following of a lot of people, because nobody's going to want to spend more than 200 pages in a nonfiction book, right? Like, nobody's going to give you that time of day. This is 339,000 words. So that is almost 7 books of a 50,000 word book. I mean, I'm not saying I've written 7 books, but I'm saying that's 339,000.
It equates to 7 books, and
right.
365, it's around the corner. And 365 is a lot of days, right? And for us to do 365 episode, that, to me, like, remember in the beginning when you said, we want to do 365 and you're gonna write a number of books and you're gonna do that, and I told you it's gonna take you about 2 years, and you said, yeah, about 2 years, right? But that's just like gone in the past memory somewhere.
Wild. I mean, it's fucking wild. Like, the 300 milestone, I don't know if you remember this now, because this is December of 2022 when I wrote this. I probably wrote this in, I'm going to guess, November of 2022. So probably close to about a year ago now from present day when you and I are talking. Remember when I said I about hit my wall? Like, so there's a mile marker in a race where it's like 20 some miles, like, a little over like 20-ish miles or whatever, in an actual literal marathon that people hit. Like,
Right.
I call it an actual wall, and it's like your body just, like, you run out of sugar, you bonk. Like, you just can't. Your body's like, nope, don't want to go any further. I don't know if you remember this, but this is about the time when I got to around 300, 310, where I was like, oh man.
Yeah, because I remember it was around,
I think it was probably like 310, something like
320, that you start to show the fatigue.
What I can actually literally tell you, because I think I wrote it. I actually remember when I read this book, I was cutting the grass. It's a really good book, by the way.
Page 1.
I think it was it was around this time.
Yeah.
I was in New York. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll get to it eventually as we go. It was beating the bonk. Yeah, this was the reflection, but it was about
300 books for reflections.
Yeah, it was about 300. It was about 300 reflections. It was about 300 books. It was about this point in the journey with Ryan Holiday's book, and I was just like, fuck, man, like, I'm tired. Like, I'm like I mean, it's hard to. Like, this was every single day, I mean, I'm not doing every single day anymore because I'm spending more time.
I keep telling you, that's not the point, right? The point is not to write every day. The point is to write when you have inspiration.
Right. I've taken off the shackles of some of the rules, where it's not like I have to write a reflection for every book. Like, if I don't like the book, I don't write a reflection. I don't finish every book anymore. Like, I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks, Amelia. Like, can we just pop this one out? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. We'll agree, and we'll just throw it out, and be like, this book sucks. I don't force myself to force out these reflections necessarily to keep production going. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I write when I want to write, like you said,
If I had in a day, I would ask you, hey, Chris, who put the shackles on you? And they say, me.
It's just me. Nobody put rules to this. Like, it's so funny how weird, humans can be, where we put self-imposed rules on ourselves.
We are conditioned. That's what I'm saying is we
why did I do that?
You think human beings have free will and they are free thinkers, but they're not, right?
Right.
They are conditioned for that. That's why you have this completely self-shackle yourself into a rule that you thought was important. You say, hey, I need to follow this guideline, these constraints.
We have a book coming up in the future called the arbitrary stupid goal. Everybody needs an arbitrary stupid goal, we'll talk about that in the future. Anyway, all right, let's actually do this reflection, because we didn't do it yesterday and now it's been sitting here all day long. All right, so this one's called I Can Imagine, right? And can is italicized for a reason. I don't need to share the story with you again. You've heard the story a million times. You've read the story. You've read the book. Right?
But the listeners and audience don't. So
right.
You might have to give some background.
I'll give some context, only because I love my daughter and she's amazing. On April 22nd of 2020, my daughter Amelia passed away. I'm not going to give the whole backstory. I'm not going to give whatever. I'm just going to tell you how I felt in that moment. Life was, as we've talked about, it's atomic bomb just blew up in my life. Like, just blew up everything. Nothing mattered anymore. I remember driving home from the hospital after it was about 7 a.m. She had her marathon last day with my wife and I, where we extubated her, and she spent hours and hours beyond where we thought she was going to live to officially take her last breath. That went all the way through the night. She was in a really bad state. We finally left the hospital around 7 a.m. that day. I was driving back home. I don't remember anything. I just remember leaving the hospital and remember getting back home and then just collapsing in my bed. And when I woke up a few hours later, it's around noon, I just had this, I can't even describe it in words, but it felt like nothing. It felt like nothing. Like nothing mattered anymore, like at all in the world. Like nothing. I mean, food didn't matter. Hygiene didn't matter. I didn't care. Even thoughts didn't matter to me. Like I didn't have any thoughts. It was just like a blank space, in general. I just sat there for hours staring at a blank TV in my room. I don't even know what I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about anything.
I bet you don't know what's on the TV. You don't know. I mean, you're completely blanked out.
I didn't. I wasn't even. I don't remember anything.
Of course you don't. That's my point. Is that it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I think I can't imagine this because for whatever reason, I may have gone through some similar experience where even if the house on fire, I still won't move. And you know what I mean? It's just one of those. It's just one thing. You are so disillusioned with what you're facing that you just can't believe any of those things. You're just like motionless in a way, mentally and physically.
Yep. So, by the way, there's context to this. So this book is about the obstacle is the way. It's the timeless art of turning trials into triumphs. This is about turning trials into triumphs. This is really a book. I really did enjoy it. Ryan Holiday talks about successful people in history and how they've embraced their challenges. He's a big Stoic dude. He's the guy that writes the Daily Stoic and the other stuff. He's like a modern day Stoic, and I don't know that I love Stoicism, to be honest with you, but like that's another conversation for another day. But either way, I found this very interesting. Actually, what I love most about Ryan Holiday, honestly, after finishing this book, and I've done Daily Stoic, and I think I did another one of his books as well. This guy's like an avid learner. Like he just consumes knowledge like crazy. He's very much so a Clubity member. Like, I mean, I don't care what his philosophies are. Like the way that he goes about his life and the way that he cares about his life, he's very much so in line with our values. He would be an amazing Clubity member. One of the things that I noticed when I was just learning more about his life in general through his work and then just researching more about him, he has this blog about all these books that he would recommend for people, and he has these detailed recaps. Like if you go to ryanholiday.com, he has his reading list, and he literally gives you by category. He categorizes everything. Anyway, he reads a shitload of books, and then he like categorizes everything and gives you brief recaps of all the stuff. Like fiction. Here's what fiction books I would read. Here's the biographies that I would want to read. Here's why, and here's what I learned, and here's blah blah blah. This guy just likes to share and care and explore himself, right? So he's definitely in the club, and he would fit it like a glove in what we're trying to do in this world, right? So back to the story of the obstacle is the way, right? Amelia passes away. I'm sitting there in my bed and staring blank. Just I don't even know what the hell's going on. Basically, sometime around like 2:00 that day, we got home around like 7. Sometime around like 2:00 that day, I was still sitting there, just staring blankly. And my wife was bawling her eyes out next to me. And I don't know, something happened where I got shocked to life. The first thought that I could think of was like, what would Amelia do right now? Like, and I watched her, every day, every moment, I could, obviously for her life. So in the 39 days that she was here, and I knew exactly what she would do. We fucking fight, right? Like that's it. So she did.
Yeah. Basically, from your book, that's what she did. When you took a tube from her, and then she held on. She held on. It's not what she would do. It's just what she did. And so, to me, I'm telling you your own story here.
I know. I love it, honestly, because I love people knowing more about Amelia and how amazing she was. It's hard for me sometimes to remember these feelings that I'm talking about right now. Sad as this is, it's only been 3.5 years. It's only been 3.5 years, right? And it's hard for me to remember this feeling that I'm talking to you about right now. And I don't ever want to forget this, to be honest with you, because this is something that's foundational to my relationship with my daughter at this point in time. And my relationship with myself is like, when you care about something, you fight, right? She cared about life. She cared about an opportunity for her to express her values, to endure, to do all this other stuff. I'm not giving up that chance. Did it suck? Of course. It was more than anybody could ever imagine. And I'm sure, anybody that's ever lost a child gets it. If you don't want to know. So don't even pretend like you want to know. Trust me, it is the worst thing you could ever imagine. So that particular day, I made the decision. I just popped out of bed and I was like, that's it. I got to do something. Amelia would fight, like, let's do something. The first thing I did was pull out my phone and I kept writing in my journal that I've been writing to her. I just wanted to talk to her. I had been talking to her through the journal. I've been documenting her life through the journal that I was keeping with her in the NICU. That was more about her. And now I just wanted to find a way to connect with her. In retrospect, I don't think that I thought about this in the moment. I just wanted to find some way to move forward, just take one tiny step, and decided to write to her. So we started writing to her. That hasn't stopped since that day. And every single day for the first 3 months, 6 months, a year, that writing was pretty much about pain and sorrow and missing her and trying to figure out what life is really about. And that's what turned in ultimately to the book, I Can't Imagine, right? Eventually, though, along the way, we kept talking, we kept writing, we found each other through this medium and then found each other through other mediums, which is learning something new every day and other values that we get to express slowly but surely along the way. This original incredibly painful event that I can't imagine is morphed into, I don't want my life with my daughter to not be here, but she's not here. So we have to find another way to still stay connected as father and daughter and still live a life together every single day and still try to find a way to stay in each other's lives at all times. Not just like, oh, Amelia is always here with me. Like, she is a part of the conversation right now. You and I, we talk every single night. She's a part of this.
And most of the conversations, it's based on the foundation that she started. So, the reason why you and I are here today is because of the Amelia Tower we're talking about, because you and I were searching for something other than what we have, what we are, what we were at that point.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Something to fight for. Something to say this matters, and to make your life matter and live a purpose-driven life, right? Like, and do what Amelia did. And so somewhere along the way, this whole imagine turned into I Can't Imagine with her. Like, it shifted from pain and sadness and horrible feelings to imagination and creativity and what can we make of this? And to the point in time where you and I are 300 episodes into this, I'm 400 episodes into writing the other book. We've mentored many, many people on this journey. We've done I don't even know how many miles Amelia and I have logged out on the road together every single day. How many books I don't even know how many books we finished together, to be honest with you, at this point in time. Like, it doesn't even matter. We just keep doing what we do and keep unlocking new ideas and imagination and new things to go explore, new things to try to live a full and happy, purposeful life, and fulfilling life, right? I don't know if the obstacle is the way or not. I have serious thoughts about this, and we've talked about this so many times throughout this whole journey together. But what I do know is if you can turn your I Can't Imagines into I Can Imagines, life can be okay. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I know we're almost out of time, but I'd love to hear your thoughts overall.
Yeah, for me, it's based on all the reflection that I've gone through the past year and a half, right? I think for me anyway, we started with the word endure, right? When you say one of your core values, never quit. And I say, no, I don't like that. And so we have settled on the word endure. And I think there's a difference between enduring and never quit. Never quit has no context in terms of what it is that you want on the other side, right? Endure, say, okay, it doesn't matter what I have to go through. The thing that I want, the thing that is on the other side of whatever it is, between me and that thing is worth all the effort.
Agreed.
So for me, similarly, I think the obstacle is in the way. I don't care what anybody say. The obstacle is in the way. I think the obstacle to me. It's gonna be there. So I say, in any path that you take, there's going to be an obstacle. It may not be today, maybe tomorrow, but someday we'll have an obstacle. right? In another path today will be an obstacle or whatever. So in any path, the chances are also going to be on your way would be guaranteed to be there, because by random chance you have. The point is that when there's something you don't care about, if there's an obstacle, you don't continue forward. So it wasn't an obstacle to you. Because if you go on a road, say, oh, I don't really like this road. And if there is a boulder is blocking you, you don't really care. You just, hey, I'm going to stop, or I'm going to walk the other way, whatever. You don't care. So in that experience, you have never come across an obstacle, because, even though you've seen it, but you never crossed it. Therefore, it isn't recorded in your memory as an obstacle. An obstacle in the case where, to me, if there's something I want, right? To me, say you always have a choice, liberty or death, but you have a choice. So if there's something so important to me, obstacle isn't going to stop me. I'm going to go through the obstacle regardless, because you're looking at what value, what is the desire, that what is it that you want is on the other side of whatever stopping you from getting there. You will find a way to get it. So that's my philosophy in terms of the reflection you will have to take from this story is that if you find something that aligns with who you are and that's what you want, it's worth effort to endure. And yes, because by random chance, there's an obstacle in every path, but the path that you want, you will find ways to overcome an obstacle. And because it's an obstacle, you will log in your memory as an obstacle. So in a sense, Ryan Holiday is right, but obstacle isn't let's say if you say obstacle is the way, I can go find any obstacle and try to fight it.
Right,
So
climb Mount Everest and Into the Wild.
Exactly. So to me,
it's not the way.
It's not the obstacle. It's like I say, what it's like what is aligned with you, what's aligned to you, right? That's worth the effort, the enduring. So like we say, hey, learning. I love to learn, but doesn't mean I love to learn everything. So you can't just take something without context. So when you say the obstacle is a way, you can say, I can just take any obstacle.
Right.
Any obstacle, hey, I want to say, like I told you, I'm not a leader kind of guy because I don't want to be that. So I'm not going to be like, okay, there's an obstacle about, that, somebody's fighting for freedom or equality or whatever, And to me, say, that's an obstacle I can take. Well, so for me to take the obstacle, do you think I feel rewarded and feel satisfied if I go through that obstacle? Because it doesn't align with a core value. It doesn't matter how much effort I put out. It doesn't seem
there's
like
a lot of
it's
obstacles.
worth it to me.
Like it's choosing. You said something just a little bit ago that I need to revisit for a second. It's not the obstacle is the way. Like you were saying, like, I want to endure through this obstacle. I think that's such an important point, right? Like every single day, I want to figure out how to be a father to my daughter who's not here. I don't care what is put in my path. I'm going to endure through that. It's that important to my life and to my relationship with my daughter. I don't care if she's not even physically fucking here. I will find a way to still be a father to my daughter. Like that is what you're saying with like
that's exactly what my sentiment
is.
Like, you find the thing that you really want, right? That is what is worth whatever effort that you put in. To me, that defines the path. So to me, the path of the value that is is dear to you, that is the way. Yes, obstacle will be in the way because obstacle it's going to be in all the paths, not just your path, but all the paths. But if you find a path that is near and dear to you, right? That to me is the way, because it happens to be obstacle are in the way, but I'm saying it's obstacle is in all the ways. It's just not in your way; it's in all the ways. But if you find a way that is not meaningful to you, it doesn't mean shit. So at the end of the day, you have to choose what it is that you desire most. Like for you, it's like there's nothing to stop you from doing the thing that you need to do to become the father to that child.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even I don't even think, now that we say what you just said, talk about like, be impeccable with your words. I don't even think that obstacle is the right word. It's got to be an impassable object is the way, you know what I mean? I can't get through this, but I'm going to get through this, right?
The point is like, because something is so dear to me, I am not afraid of any impassable path or immovable object. To me, it's
but I
like
wouldn't call it an
if
obstacle.
there's
An obstacle makes it sound like you can remove the obstacle, right? Like I'm saying, like this is just a boulder that is in the middle, that is an unmovable boulder. Like it is there, it is never going anywhere. Like this is not going anywhere. She is not here, right? Like, you know, like
right,
it's
but the thing
not
is,
change.
we are dealing with a metaphysical sense. We're not dealing with a physical sense, because the thing is, there's something you want, and you say, let's say you say, well, there are certain physical that you can't overcome. Like, hey, there's a wall, there's an iron wall. I don't have to go through the wall to get to where I need to be. I can go over the wall. I can go under the wall. I can burn up the wall. I can drill holes through the wall.
Right.
There's so many things. So we're talking about in the realm of infinite, meaning in our life, because our life is so dynamic and so wicked, quote unquote wicked, right? It's not the term that you and I use, kind of wicked environment. In a wicked environment, there are unknown unknowns. There are unknowns knowns. Because there's so many things that in the universe that we don't even know existed. Because you think about, hey, we discover microwave, we discover radio wave, we would discover electricity, we would discover so many things. To me, the world has so infinite number of possibility that is not containable. So in that world, I consider that metaphysical, because let's say you present me with a physical object. For me to go over to attain something, I don't have to go physically go through it to attain my goal. To go through it, I can go over it. I can still achieve my goal. I can go under it. I can achieve my goal. I can go around it and achieve my goal. So the thing is, in a metaphysical, anything is at your disposal as long as you figure out how to get it. But that's what I'm saying is, when we have something that we want that is near and dear to our hearts, nothing that I can foresee in my mind that can stop me, because I will continue to drill that wall until I get through it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is,
or you fill it up with water and lift it up and float it. You know, like I mean, like,
yeah,
like there's an, like to your point, like it, like Amelia and I found a way to stay connected. I don't know how we did it. We did it though, but we just kept taking a step, and we're going to continue to take a step every single day. And that was through us imagining a different path. Right. It was so hard to not imagine the path that was given to us, which was devastating, like absolutely devastating. I could not imagine being a first-time father and that being my experience with my child, and that was it. I couldn't imagine that. Like literally, there was an immovable object that was put in there going, am I a dad? Am I a parent? Do I have a child? Do I not have a child? These were questions that I was, you know, actively. I didn't even want to celebrate Father's Day. She passed away on April 22nd. Mother's Day is in May, and then Father's Day is in June, right? So within a month and a half, my wife and I got to celebrate our first Father's Day and Mother's Day without, you know, with our first child being born, with not being here, you know. And like I remember literally going to the cemetery. I go to the cemetery every Sunday, like, and I don't think I've ever missed a Sunday with Amelia. Even when I've been out of town, I'll figure out a way to, you know, anyway. But like I remember going there on that first Father's Day and going like, I don't know that I'm a father. Like, I mean, like, and I was like, what does this mean? Is to be a father, to be active parent to your child? Is that what fathering is? Am I just you know, I'm definitely not a active father. There's no child to father. Like, what does that even mean? It was confusing as hell to me. Not only that, my work, you know, I was on paternity leave. They gave like really long extended paternity leave. We get 6 months of paid paternity leave at the company that I worked at, and Amelia passed away. I had to tell them that Amelia passed away. And they were like, well, you're not on paternity leave anymore. Paternity leave is for time to bond with your child, and your child's not here, you know. But they're like, but you can go on bereavement leave, and it's the same amount of time, and you can do whatever you need to do. And it's the exact same thing, but we don't call it paternity leave, because that's when you spend time with bonding with your child, and you can't bond with your child because your child's not here, because you're not a parent, you're not a father. Like, you know, like, I mean, it was.
But to me, what I said before is you we put constrain yourself. Right. Why can't you bond with a child that's not here? Who said you can't?
That's exactly. I actually think about that now, of like people that have miscarriages or something like that, or, you know, have stillbirths, or people that you know, go through in vitro and they don't have successes or something like that. Like, they should have time. Like, I mean, like Felicia's had 2 miscarriages in the past year. I'm that's new to us. Like, I mean, that's something that we had ever experienced before, but like, I'm not saying I want, I need like 6 months off to figure out like, but like, I think those were my children. They were here eventually, like, I mean, whether or not they were
But
like,
that's what I'm saying is people, like I said, people have been conditioned to like I asked you, who put the shackle onto you to make you do a certain thing, right? It's your self-inflicted shackle. It's because of that. And people
right,
do the same way. Hey, there's no child. How can you have paternal leave if there's no child? Because you crafted that rule. You defined the definition of the bonding
right,
with a child that then have to be physical here. But the thing is, in life, like I say, there's nothing defined. Nothing defined. The thing is, rules of gravity can be defined. It doesn't mean it never will. You look at, Newton's law, right? Einstein broke Newton's second law.
right.
So, I mean, it had held for like centuries. And then Einstein broke it, right? But I'm saying in the real world, in the wicked environment we live in the dynamic environment we live in, there are unknown unknowns. If you understand what I say when I say unknown, you understand what I'm saying is because there are so many things that we don't know. So that means that a lot of things are possible that we think is not possible. Because like I said, moving pictures is not possible in the Stone Age. So you say, well, somebody moving pictures, or what the fuck is it? People
What are you
cannot
talking about? Yeah,
comprehend
right.
this thing.
I struggle to comprehend that. I keep thinking about that. Like, how did we record sound and on a movie? How does a camera record sound?
It's based on electrons movements. So when have you seen the voice wave,
Yeah,
right? That's how you record sound. You record the electron movement, like EEG, right? Electron.
right.
Basically, it records the electron that bombards the thing, and it says how loud something and how wide something is. So it's all electrons, right? And it audio is a bunch of like waves like this. It's like a bunch of noise waves, right?
Figure
And
that
and
out.
and like I say, your voice, your sound, right, and your brains have exactly the same wave.
Like, how
It's
can
just
you talk to me through this medium? Like, how does this, like, how does, I
because
mean, like,
it
this kind of,
records
it's
it and then it produces a sound through it by pounding on the speaker, right? So there are so many things that we take for granted
right.
that like people don't even know how things work. Like sound, how does sound work? How do we record a sound? How do we record the pictures? How do you record a pixel and then project it back? I mean, if I ask you, do you know
Wild.
how
Yeah.
satellite works? How
I mean,
GPS works?
it's satellites positioning around the globe to triangulate a coordinate position. But like, I don't even know. I know it has something to do with satellites and
But
coordinating.
how do you get the signals?
I don't know. As I said, I don't know the answer.
But I'm saying is a lot of things we use today, a lot of things
Oh
we are
yeah,
known
we have
today.
no
It's like we have no idea how we don't understand it, but we use it as if it's like nothing. And
right, right.
and we believe and conditioned to do that. So my point is that we are conditioned so many things that we have no understanding of, and we believe in it and we take them for granted.
Like,
And and we
it's a universal constant that will never change.
and that's the thing, and because it's universal, it's a quote unquote believing that you never question it. That I
Right.
mean, meaning so back to my point is that when they say you don't have a child because we believe that a child has to exist physically for you to have paternity leave. That is a rule you've made, and people kept continue down and pass it on to people, and people conditions to accept it without understanding it. But if you are a normal person, not like you and me, no one questions it.
Right.
But I question it because I'm not
Oh,
normal.
I questioned them like immediately. I
Like
was
you're
like,
not normal.
well, right.
Yeah.
I talked to the global head of the programs at
Mhm,
Salesforce. I was just
mhm.
like, I just want to like let you know, like this, you're telling me I'm not a parent. And it's a change that doesn't matter to you guys. It's literally just a check a box, and it's the exact same amount of compensation, exact same amount of time off, it's the exact same amount of everything, right? Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, but it does matter because you're telling me that I'm not a parent. And then the other one is telling me not just that you're not a parent, but you need to go grieve the loss of your child because they're never coming back. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. If you put yourself in a box, you don't know you're in a box. You cannot find solutions inside a box. We are being conditioned to believe in things. Just like what I started earlier today. We're talking about the blood is thicker than the water thing, right? We are conditioned to believe in certain thing without understanding, and that kept us inside of the paradigm, inside of a box, and that box is going to shackle you. and you will never be able to find a way out because of that. Right?
Yeah. Agreed.
So that's why I think a lot of people, when you hear the obstacle the way, it's, oh, it makes sense because that's what we're conditioned. But if you don't have the normal brain, like you and me, because I don't have a normal childhood and I don't have now a child, regardless of where I grow up, but my environment doesn't help that in any way. But we got people take this like saying and say, well, yeah, it makes sense. If you go obstacle, you get, but I'm saying is the obstacle is in the way, right? Because you're going to have an obstacle in any path, in any way that you choose. Right. So for me, it's in focusing on the obstacle, because the obstacle to me is an effect or a side product. It's not really the real cause for you to do something. The reason why you're on that path is because of something you want. So back to your questions is, how can you turn your I can't imagine into I can imagine? So for me, the way I see it is, when you focus on the obstacle, then you can't imagine.
Yes.
But if you focus on the thing that you want, you can imagine, because the obstacle that's in your way, literally, you don't even recognize it there. I mean, for me, it's like, oh, okay, it's nothing more than a temporary setback. I'm going to find ways to overcome it. And so if I continue to focus my thoughts on my desire, on the thing that I want, like for you to be a father to that wonderful kid, that is your focus and your thought onto it. Anything that's going to stay in, get in between you and that goal, that what you want, will get obliterated.
Oh yeah, it's completely redefined my life.
You don't even recognize the obstacle. It's right for you to write. For you to write like for
everything.
Right, for every day, right, means nothing compared to the desire of having that connection with your child.
Yeah, I get to do it every day with Luca. I get to see him every day and get to see him grow and connect with him. I don't have to try for that. It's kind of sad, because I don't think a lot of parents understand this. You don't have to try to connect with your children. If you're blessed enough to have them around you and they're in your life, like, they're just going to connect with you. Like, just them being in your presence, like, you get to have a connection with them. Like, it's pretty fucking sad when people don't connect with their children, or they're, like, when they have that opportunity. Like, honestly, it's tragic in my opinion, but like, the only way you don't connect with your child is if you actively are trying to not connect with your child when they're fucking in front of you every single day, right? Like, when they are literally doing all their kid shit right in front of you all day long.
You're not human if you don't. It's
impossible.
The thing is, that's why I don't care who you live with. You can live with anyone, as long as they are in your presence. Right. You will have a connection, because that's what I try. But you live with people, you will learn to understand them, and you will learn to embrace whatever differences in behavior they exhibit. It doesn't matter. That is like the gene that we have that's underlining the foundations of our human triumphs over the animal kingdom.
You don't have to try. Like, that's to your point, it is innate in us, right? But what is not innate in us is when they're not near you. Like, you have to try. You have to figure out, that doesn't change the desire to want to connect with them. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't go away. Like, we're still
right. But I'm saying is the thing is, it doesn't matter what it is you want, as long as you focus on the problem.
Yeah, no, you're spot on.
You can't imagine shit, because hey, my daughter is not here. You imagine your daughter is not here. Right. You can't do shit. But if you imagine, hey, I want a relationship with my daughter, you will find a way. That's what I'm saying is, when you focus on the thing that matters to you, you can imagine. When you focus on the wall, then you can't
manifests.
See shit.
Like, look at what we're doing with Clubbing right now. We stopped. The original idea developed into the quest and the other stuff we were trying to do. We had some successes there, but then we were like, we should probably do it this way. But we have a constraint of an obstacle of we need funding. In a weird way, we totally.
But it doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop Clubbing. It's still here today, and it still will be here until the day that I die, right?
Well, we reimagined that. We reimagined the money source, and that was OSF Digital, right? And yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it's whatever. It's not perfect every single day when I get a chance to connect with my daughter either.
It's an obstacle, but it's not a sense of obstacle you think about, because when we say, hey, there is a physical obstacle of, hey, we don't have this, but you were able to create this company life, right? And you overcame the obstacle, not like through a physical going through and get whatever, but hey, there's a company in light over here that OSF Digital is actually experimenting with it. So I'm saying is in the metaphysical world like we live in, there are infinite possibility of solutions that you can use to overcome anything. So as long as you're focused on the thing that you want, obstacles to me are non-existent.
Agreed. I mean, it's no different than the dip conversation. You only know you're in the dip when you know you're in the dip. Otherwise it's not even a question. Like, it's my arm's falling off and I love playing tennis, and you're like, well, take some time off. Well, no, there's an obstacle in the way. But yeah, my shoulder hurts. It's fine. Whatever. Like, you saw me in real time do this, and you're like, your shoulder hurts. I don't think you should take some time off. But we talked about this just in general. No, if anything, this shoulder may have completely changed everything with my tennis game, because it made me do deliberate practice on other strokes that I needed to absolutely do, which made me that much better. And now whenever my shoulder started to feel a little bit better, which is not perfect yet, it's like probably 80%, but I at least now have other weapons and stuff, and now I'm way more versatile. My point being is there was an obstacle in the way. Like, I could have just stopped playing tennis for a while, and who knows when I would have been able to resume. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have, but like, I was like, fuck that. I'm not fucking doing that. Like, that's not happening. Like, until you gotta.
Yeah, it's an obstacle. Like I say, if there's something you really, really want and you want it badly, that, to me, obstacles are non-existent, because whatever it is, you're gonna find a way to overcome it. I mean, quote overcome means like whatever you do to make it non-impactful for you, right? Yeah. It doesn't stop you from playing tennis. It doesn't stop us from continuing on with company. It doesn't, it's just one of those things where, well, what are you talking about obstacle,
Fine with me. I mean, we'll figure it out, I totally agree. Anyway, we're way over time, so all right, like, I gotta go to bed. Fun conversation as always. We got kind of a twofer on that one. Whatever the hell that first half was, and then the second half. Good stuff for the day. The question we can leave with everybody is, how can you turn your I can't imagines into I can't imagines? I think True said it perfectly. It's like,
it's your perspective, it's your perspective on things. Just like we talking about that circles where, something is a stretch zone, right? It's minor differences. It's perspective, it's the same place,
right?
But it's what it is that aligns with you that makes it a different zone. So same thing with the path you take. If you focus on the obstacle in front of you, then you blind. You completely can't see anything. You can't imagine anything other than there's just a big fat boulder in front of me. That's all I can see. So you can't imagine anything other than that, right? So you can't see beyond or anything beyond that. But if you focus on the thing that you want, you start to imagine many, many things. So it's a shift of the focus. Hey, do I look at this or look at that?
If you care enough, it's not even an option. Like, you just start taking a step in another direction. You just go, well, there's a boulder there. I got to take a step, like, we got to keep moving.
For me, this is what I'm saying. When I latch onto something that I really want, I say, oh, it's a boulder. But that's it. It's like, okay, well, I just gonna go around a boulder. Right. I acknowledge it's a boulder, but it doesn't even register as anything that is going to constrain me at all, because I'm going to build something. Well, I can't do it this way. Okay, I'll do something else. So I'm like almost like a shrug on the shoulders. Yeah, it's there. And I move on.
Agreed.
What I mean? Say, hey, we didn't get the funding for company. Oh, okay, let's do a podcast. So like I say, it's like, it's not, it's like, okay, it's there, but it's like nothing more than a vesture. It's there, but it doesn't count in my mind as an obstacle. That's what I'm saying. Is for me, when I imagine that, it's almost non-existent.
I mean,
because I don't have money to do this. Well, it's I can't do it that way. I'm going to do something else. It's like, it's not even like, oh, I'm going to stress out. I'm going to focus. I'm going to break my brain because I can't do this thing. Because a moment I focus on the obstacle, then it stops me in the track. But if I don't focus on obstacle, I focus on my destination, it never slows me down. It's never slow us down.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. And it's not going to slow us down. So totally agree. Well, it was fun as always. Good 300th episode. Good to celebrate. And looking forward to 300 more.
Yep. And part 2 of 2.
Part 2 tomorrow. Or, well, I guess Monday. Awesome. All right. Well, we will see you all in a couple days.
Sounds good. See ya.